In this episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction to the seventh episode in Survivor's 50th season titled That's Not How I Play Survivor. So let's see who this episode was talking about and what happened. My review and reaction ahead. Let's go. This was a fantastic episode of Survivor. Despite a somewhat normal, what should have been routine vote off that goes exactly as planned, we had a lot of fun content inside this episode. So I'm really thanking Survivor's back season 50 has been providing, and this episode was no different. So, we start this episode off. Remember last week we had the Blood Moon. 3 people voted out at Tribal Council. Not a lot of people happy online about this. Not a lot of podcasts preaching about the Blood Moon, kind of a stupid twist. Colby gets screwed out of the game. Genevieve gets screwed out of the game. It sucks to see. Camilla was kind of just cooked, but it sucks. All 3 of them got screwed in some capacity. So doubt we'll ever see a blood moon again, but who knows? I don't think the outrage was loud enough. Maybe next time they do it, then we'll get rid of this, but that is what it is. It was fun seeing the groups funnel in and learn who was voted off. No real big reactions, at least at night, besides Tiffany is very pissed off about her tribal council, where we saw Camilla go home and she was left out of the vote. Jonathan turned on her and she calls Jonathan like a dirty lying skank, which is awesome. I really hope a Tiffany revenge arc is coming. I do think she can slip under the radar after this vote off tonight and then kind of make a little run at it and maybe be like a mid-merge boot. But I don't know. I think Tiffany, that was a fun scene of Tiffany, and I'm glad we get to see more Tiffany. There's been a lot to be made about Tiffany being missing on the show. She's been very present in the last 2 episodes, so that's super fun, and she was honestly great in this episode. So I was excited to see that at Tiffany. One of the big to dos was Aubrey not playing her idol at the tribal council where Genevieve was voted out, which actually was a smart play. Might have bought herself another day in the game where this annoys everybody that she didn't play it. And I think having a public idol is pretty bad, just in terms of they can use it. Like, this is a perfect example where there's 3 public idols in the game. Rizzo and Ozzy have one, and I'm actually I'm kind of warming up to Aubrey. She was one of the only 2 people I don't like on the season, at least as of right now. But I kind of like what Aubrey's doing right now. I think she's actually being kind of fun. Now that a lot of my favorites are out of the game. Okay, Q is gone, Colby's gone, Genevieve is gone. We're losing everybody, man. Okay, it's really getting really tough out here. But Aubrey doesn't use the idol, but neither did Rizzo. Well, I guess Rizzo and Ozzy weren't at Tribal Council, but everybody knows about Ozzy and Rizzo's idol, but it's only Aubrey that we care about, which is unfair, okay? I don't know what's going on with that. Why is Aubrey the one that has the target because she has an idol? Everybody knows about everybody's idol on this island. So I think that's really interesting. What interested me even more is Rick Devens says that if Aubrey didn't play her idol, then they would all have just voted her out, which is actually pretty surprising because it seemed like Aubrey had joined in with the old school kind of late 30s group. Remember, she played on Edge of Extinction with Rick Devens, and also Christian played the season before, and I forget who else was with that group. It was Joe, but I don't know. That was kind of an interesting move because you'd think Aubrey would just align with those 2 at least, be aligned with Rick and Christian, but Aubrey might have found herself in a good spot after tonight. We'll see. I don't know, but yeah, her not playing the idol was a smart move. Short term, long term, it's going to piss people off, but she gets to just play it tonight, get rid of it. And by not playing and not telling people last week, she seemingly saved her game from what we're told by Rick. So interesting moment there. Another player who is not happy with how Tribal Council went is Coach. And Colby was I think, no, he wasn't the Stone Bell Monk. He was I forget his nickname, but Colby was part of the Four Horsemen Alliance, which we find out later on, and he is not happy with how his vote off went, where he does not like that people are lying, playing this game. I love Coach. I thought Coach was actually really good television tonight, and probably, I think they were at least half this cast was providing very good television tonight between Coach, D, Tiffany, Jonathan. Even I don't like Jonathan, but I guess you can add him into the group earlier that I was mentioning. Even Stephanie was like somewhat compelling tonight, which is saying a lot. There was a lot of good people that were making this show fun, which is why we should bring back more people, man. Bring back more people on these casts. But what do I know? Anyways, Coach is ready to go to war, and I'm down. If I was there, I'm down to go with Coach. Like, let's go. And before you call me out, I didn't want him to go the direction he did. I wanted him to go for a Stephanie, go for an Aubrey, but he's not going to do that because they're his people. So I don't know. I don't really. It's so hard to watch Survivor 50 because we know the hits were coming, and I'm not even like the biggest D stan. I like D, but I'm not like in love with her, But it hurt to watch D go home tonight. Last winter, you know, I don't know who I want. I don't even know. I just want Stephanie to go home, and after that, I don't care. I do care because it hurts to watch all these players go home, and I haven't been this invested in. I don't think I've ever been this invested in a returner season. Even Winners at War, I was like, who the hell is Danny Boatwright? I don't care about this person. No offense, Danny Boatwright, but I had Ethan. That one there was like the hyena. There wasn't as much love for the. It's hard. It's hard to watch people go home. Anyways, Coach going to war. D versus Jonathan. Now, I think there is something to note very strongly about how this was edited, where D is just, it's a great fight. I love the confrontation on Survivor. We need more of this. It's what makes the show fun. People getting out of their comfort zone, going to war with each other in person. And this is a public fight where everybody is looking in on this fight between uh, Jonathan and D. Now, I think Dee does play this a little bit bad, where she knows that Jonathan's probably, she doesn't know for sure. Well, she doesn't know at all that he's trying to rile her up, but she should have been like aware of what, her surroundings. And she knows, I think Dee knows from playing the challenge, like there's going to be fights, I'm going to be involved in them. And Dee was my favorite character of this episode, just from a TV standpoint. But she was providing content, and it was great to watch. It was just for the game's sake. I think this hurt her a lot, where people are seeing her as this kind of figurehead of being a snake and being the person running around lying to everyone, which is unfair because everybody else is lying around her. She's just the one that's being put in the spotlight, and I think there may be even a sense of, I think the exit press interviews have been enlightening to say the least this season, and I think we're going to find out a lot about, maybe there's some other reasons why Dee went home tonight. She was the only winner. Does she think that's a part of it? I don't know, but I think there could have definitely been a group that was like, all right, she's won, let's get her out of here. Like, it's an easy vote, especially with Kyle and Savannah gone already. Seems like that would be an easy one to just get on out of there. Um, but I don't know. I'm Team D in this fight because I don't really like Jonathan that much. But the way this was edited was made to seem like Jonathan was just a mastermind. And I was watching with my mom, and she was like, "Ooh, Jonathan, like he did something crazy." Whatever. I think Jonathan has a really good chance of winning this game right now, which sucks to say. They gotta get him out for the challenges or something. Anyways, Coach clocks in versus D. He's ready to go to war still. Now, this is where I kind of turned off being a soldier for Coach. I'm not sure I'd be able to cut it in those types of environments. And yeah, some pretty awkward Coach stuff. And I'm here for Coach too. He gave good television tonight. That's all you can ask for out of your Survivor players. But let me hold back. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, now that Colby has been voted out of the game, this four horseman alliance, which we've never even heard of in our history of knowing anything, aka what was probably a pregame alliance. Well, I guess according to Camilla, everybody was pregaming, but Joe wasn't involved. Come on. Anyways, the Four Horsemen alliance was Joe, Coach, Colby, and Jonathan. We did see the alliance between Coach, Joe, and Colby. So now that Colby's gone, they want to pull it, or Coach pulls in the Riz God to be the fourth member of this Four Horsemen group. And I don't know. Like, I think the way Coach presented this was really bad, actually, where you're most likely playing for a final three. They're not going to do a final two in season 50, and they've done a final three for the last, what is it, 22 seasons. So you're the clear fourth, replacing somebody, and Rizzo kind of clocks this immediately, which, this was a really bad episode for Coach editing wise. But Rizzo kind of clocks that immediately, that he's a replacement. He's on the bottom of this group, doesn't love it. He's already got his three, and which is a crazy alliance name. Cerise Wizard of Oz, which I think this alliance is meant to last. Ozzy, Cirie, and Rizzo. We're getting a lot about this alliance, and I'm down for it. I think I like. I don't love Ozzy, but whatever. As I said, I like everyone. I mean, Ozzy on this season has been insufferable, which is good. But I think the way Coach presented this alliance to Rizzo was pretty bad. I think a downfall for Coach is certainly in the future, and I think it's just a question of how fast this happened. Moving forward, yep, the Cerise Wizards of Oz. It's a tongue twister. Cerise Wizard of Oz. Okay, I think this is going to be a good alliance. I think this is going to be an alliance that lasts a while, and I think for Rizzo to make the merge and not be a target at all in the first two votes, I think he's clean because Rizzo's my age and everybody else out there is like 40 plus, late 30s, 40, 50s. Nobody's going to respect him at the end of the game, which sucks because he's probably just going to make it to the end and get 0 votes. I called that out in last week's episode. And especially if you're going with Rizzo and, I mean, not Rizzo, especially if you're going with Suri and Ozzy, bro, you're cooked, as you would like to say. You're cooked, chat. I don't know. I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Rizzo to win this game in any capacity, even though he is getting a very good edit. I don't know if people like me to talk about that or not like to talk about that. I'm very neutral on. I'm not neutral, but I just don't know what I'm talking about with edit. So you can probably just forget I even said any of this stuff. But yeah, I think the alliance is pretty good. It's a pretty good three group. I think initially you'd think they would ride the middle, but the way this vote turned out, it seems like everyone just kind of turned on D and Tiffany randomly, so they were kind of just the other ones out. And I think according to Jeff and according to everybody on the season, it's going to be great, and things, the tides are just going to keep turning, which I think helps a group that's solid like Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy, where everyone else sees these kind of fractured groups and alliances where they found themselves in a good spot. Besides Suri's seemingly what should be a big target, I don't know. Nobody's really mentioned her name since Jenna Lewis. This could be something that makes a long run. That's just my prediction. I don't know. Continuing on, D plays very messy with the information on Rizzo's idol. Rizzo told her in confidence. It was, I think everyone in any game says, I'm only telling you this, and then tells 5 other people. But Rizzo told D in confidence, and I guess that Zoom face, there's so much outside of the game stuff. That FaceTime call, that Sophie Barbelarity set up between you guys didn't last for this vote. And Rizzo is going to end up turning on D, but D kind of played this very messily, telling not only Tiffany and Emily, who Emily is just the worst person to tell anything, as we've learned from this season. You also told Jonathan. You told 3 people. That's 4 people. D realizes she clocks this immediately. She's like, I made a mistake that could cost me the game. And I think you can argue that this mistake did cost her the game. Just too much information out there. You have to keep some of this stuff private. He told you in confidence. And, I think this is a big mistake on D's game that I don't think it knocks her legacy. I just think she's just a messy player where I think she had more certainty on season 45 and no one knew who she was, where she kind of just was not going to win the season. Even though I thought she was a pretty strong contender with the way she was being edited on the show. I'm talking a lot about that this week. I'll try and stop. I don't know. I think this was really obviously a really bad decision for D to go around and spread this. And for Rizzo, it makes sense to be like, yeah, I got you. Like, I think he kind of almost mishandled that confrontation. He should have just been like, oh, yeah, everything's good. But I'm like a little mad at you, and then just actually just turned on her. But it is what it is. He kind of lets her know that, hey, that wasn't really cool. So we have a journey. One person will get on the boat. Chrissy has the wonderful idea for everyone to put their shot in the dark in a bag, and she'll be the one who picks it, which she didn't want to go, which made me immediately think that she would be the one who goes. But no, it is one Miss Stephanie who gets to go. We get to spend a lot of time with Stephanie on a boat. She has a challenge where she has to hold her right hand, or just hand in general. Sorry, she has a shoulder injury that is locked up, and since her shoulder got. By the way, good for Stephanie for being down to come back in the show, but it seems like there's a lawsuit. If you want it, the shoulder, it's never going to be able to. It's the same again. Seems like a little rough injury there for Stephanie, but either way, she has to hold up her non-dominant hand for an hour, and if she's able to do this, she gets an advantage. If not, she loses her vote. And of course, she wins. Honestly, I think the hardest part about that would just be being out there by yourself for an hour, just hearing the water whoosh and whatever. Although behind the scenes, you do have the voice people and the cameraman, so it's not just you. You're just putting on. You're basically the man of the hour. I try to hold my hand up for a couple minutes. It hurts, but I don't know if it's different standing. I was sitting down, and if you could just she could just use support. Like she held her hand up and just held her elbow with her other hand. Like that's doesn't seem to be that hard. I don't know. Maybe I'm just projecting here, but she wins, of course, and she gets an advantage. It's a steal a vote, which is actually a pretty powerful advantage. Obviously, us fans voted for dynamic twists, most definitely, most certainly, right, guys? I remember doing that. Whatever, but we get another twist next week, thank God. Steal a vote, though, interesting. Will she use it correctly? Probably not. I don't know. I just don't trust Stephanie's strategic maneuvering, but we'll see what happens. And she comes back to the camp. Classic decision that we see in the new era. Do you lie or do you tell the truth about what happened on your journey? Stephanie's going to go the route of trying to lie, which is really bad when you have somebody who's played two reality television show games, three reality television show games with you, and Cirie, who immediately just clocks her as lying, and Stephanie's like, "Yeah, I gotta steal a vote, you bitch," which was that was a funny scene between the two, and not a lot of that was one of the bigger relationship watches head into the season where there was a big rumor that Stephanie was coming for Cirie. Cirie thought Stephanie was coming for her. Both are here at the merge. Not a lot of interaction between the two until tonight. But Cirie's like, I know you're lying about this. Cirie was actually really funny in this scene where Stephanie's like, I swear I held my hand up for nothing. I got my vote back. And Cirie's like, yeah, all right. And she's like, all right, sorry, I got to steal a vote, Cirie. Just don't tell anyone. Keep it between me and you. And I think this does help Stephanie, where she had to lie to everybody. That's not how she typically plays these games. And so for her to be able to get this secret off of her chest and tell Cirie probably helps out a little bit. Like, okay, my one person knows about this. It's not going to hurt that much. But Cirie, of course, I'm not going to tell anybody. Goes right ahead and tells Rizzo. Rizzo and Cirie know where every advantage is in the game, and by proxy, I'm sure they told Ozzy as well. So, again, that group of three, I think, is really in a good position right now. Back to the immunity challenge we go. Big time spent on this challenge because we get the mega challenge, which we definitely needed in Survivor 50. So they have a schoolyard pick and they advertise it to us. We're going to do a schoolyard pick, and then they don't even show it to us. It's the mega challenge, two groups of seven. Christian and Coach were the captains, maybe somebody else. Doesn't matter because one of them picked a really good team. In Christian, he had himself and Emily on the puzzle, and then just Beasts, Ozzy, Steph, Joe, others, basically everyone who's good at challenges besides Jonathan. And so, of course, they do pretty well. Win the win the challenge where you roll the ball through a course, put the ball in place, have to get your teammates up on the ball, and then do a puzzle. Puzzle was actually very close. Where I was in my watching of this episode, I thought for sure that Christian and Emily would smoke Coach and Chrissy, but it came down to a couple pieces seemingly where Coach and Chrissy probably had 1 to 2 pieces, 1 to 3 pieces left to put in. I think they had one piece wrong though, so it was going to be wrong no matter what. Blue team wins though, surprisingly close puzzle, decent challenge there. And we get to the immunity challenge where you're holding a rod over your head with a ball on the end of it, and you have to balance that ball. It does have lips though, so like small lips, so it's not going to fall off immediately. Which I thought initially seeing that I was like, oh, those balls are going to fall right off. But we get poles and they have little lips, so it's not too terrible. And off the bat, I do have a lot of LeBron James moments, like when he called Kobe scoring 81 that night. I said to my mom, I said this is something Ozzy would be good at. I did think Dee was going to win immunity just because of how much she seemingly was in trouble before the challenge, and they like to do that little red herring of this person's going to be voted out if they don't win immunity, and they win immunity. Too obvious though, because Ozzy wins, and I thought Ozzy would be good at it. He was. He wins immunity, and yeah, that kind of sets off the fireworks of the shuffling of the afternoon, which what should be a relatively easy vote, where the majority wants a split between Dee and Tiffany, where if Dee plays a shot in the dark, it hits, then they have split votes on Dee. Coach is one that is very vocal about this plan, and he has 7 votes for Dee, 4 votes for Tiffany. Nobody wants to be the person to vote for Tiffany because when you come back, you're gonna have to tell her. Which I don't think this is really a big deal because you can just lie. I guess if she's gonna be out next anyway, it doesn't matter either. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's not that hard to explain, but I get it, and I don't know. Maybe it's like it's like a what it's like a I'm trying to think of an analysis or analogy. It's like something that's made bigger and bigger, and the more you talk about it, like it's actually not that big of a deal, but the more you're like thinking about it, it's like, oh shit, this is could be a trouble. And so coach wants this 7-4 vote, right? We have 14 people, so 7 people on Dee, 4 people on Tiffany, and the one person he doesn't want to be Dee or Tiffany knowing about this vote is Christian, which I thought was very interesting. He thinks Christian is the most dangerous player that's not Dee. Hello, Cirie Fields. Are you in the building with us? Hello. Yeah, I guess it's maybe besides that. I don't know, man. I thought, I don't know. It would make sense, I guess, for coach to not want Christian to know, but he thinks Christian's the only one playing the middle, which doesn't even make sense because you're voting against 2 people with a group of 11, and now Christian's the one person in the middle deciding between what, between who, you know. So I thought that was a really weird analysis of the situation by coach. Um, He did get the 7-4 vote, I believe. It might have even been 8-4, with Tiffany voting for coach. Maybe someone doesn't have a vote. I don't even remember. I don't even remember the total vote count, but yeah, he doesn't want Christian to know, which like sets wavelengths through the camp of people like Emily being pissed off with Coach. If she had it her way tonight, which a lot of Emily flipping on this season, saying if I had it my way tonight, then X and X would happen, and then that thing not happening at all. So I don't think Emily's really running a lot of stuff on this season, but yeah, Emily's upset with Coach. Rick Devon's a little bit upset with Coach, which he's not really getting his way much either. Um, Christian's like amenable to the idea. Ozzy's like, yeah, Coach is an idiot, but he doesn't really like ever fully buy in. It's kind of just an obvious like red herring where I thought the actual I thought for sure we would get like this break off and then it becomes serious, but it just didn't seem to actually materialize into anything truly like a true movement against Coach. So we get to the tribal council where it looks like Dee's in trouble, and she's willing to admit it in front of Jeff and in front of everybody. I'm in trouble tonight, and then she gets up and goes and whispers, which she told Tiff before tribal. If I get up and start whispering, you're not in trouble, which is a smart thing to do. But I love the live tribal. We see Jonathan whispering to somebody, everybody whispering to anybody. She goes up to Ozzy and says, "Coach, tonight I have the numbers." I think she just said it to Emily or somebody else. But when this started happening, I was like, yeah. I thought there was a chance that Coach would go, but I always kind of thought this would just be a D vote off, which she made it fun. Like I said before, D was really super fun on the season. Um, but yeah, it was unfortunately D is voted out in a I'm gonna say 8-4 vote, 8-4 to 1. I don't have the numbers officially on that. She did play her shot in the dark, so she knew what was going on. Which yeah, I found it hard to believe that no one had told her, especially Tiffany. Aubrey does play the idol, which W little monologue from Aubrey there. She was talking about like an idol everybody knows about is fine, but when it's me, everybody cares, and I want this gone. I don't know. It was something cute. I don't know. It was a nice moment for Aubrey. She gets the idol out. No votes for her, of course, but now everybody knows she doesn't have it, which I think could set up pretty well for Aubrey. However, Dia's voted out of the game, and she takes it like a champ. She says, "Thanks for the hearts, guys. Good luck, everybody." I thought there was a chance she would go spicy on us, give us who was this? Oh, Jenna like unintentionally gave us a spicy moment, but we need more saltiness leaving tribal council. That's what we're here for, the drama, the stakes, it all. So that's where we leave off episode 7. Episode 8 preview is just kind of meh. They're going to do another twist. Coach is doing Tai Chi. Um, Sari is crying for some reason. Who knows? But that's where we leave off episode 7. Overall, a 5 out of 5 stars for me. It doesn't take a lot on TV time for a 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm going to go for that. Solid episode. Probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite episode of the season, just due to everything that happened. It's what we watch Survivor for. So with that, I'll give you my top 3 players to win and top 3 players out next. Top 3 to win. Number 1, I got Jonathan. I actually think he's a clear and far runaway right now. I just, his content's great. We see him tricking D into, or baiting D into raging on him, and he's got a good old school alliance. He's not seemingly being targeted by anybody right now, even though he's a massive challenge threat. Jonathan's got it all going on. If he can just, kind of have that same arc in season 42, but he'd be able to prove his strategic abilities at the end, he really got his chance to win this thing. Number 2, I have Christian. Christian, I think, is actually having good episodes now where he's not like just being thrown into our face. And if we go through the pre-merge where he had crazy episodes, Christian, I think, has been playing this really well. He's a clear setup or a clear person, a dragon to take out and coach right now, who wants him out. But who knows? I don't know. After Jonathan, it's actually pretty hard to think of who's winning. I put Sari number 3. I don't think Sari has really been as much on the season as I expect her to, but when we get her, it's fun. It's all positive. She has like no negative content towards her. Nobody wants Sari out besides like the fake Jenna plan, and that could be like a faux pas into, oh, Sari had trouble in the first tribal. She could have been voted out, even though she never did. And Sari, if she makes it to the end, is just a lock to win. So that rounds out my top 3. Other people I considered, Ozzy, but he's kind of like a side character at this point. Rizzo has a lot of bad stuff mixed in with good. Coach had a terrible episode. Rick has been kind of fading too. He's kind of in the Emily flipping camp of not getting what he wants. And that's where we'll leave that. Top 3 out next. Number 1, I have Tiffany. Obvious one just from the votes. I do think Tiffany, there is a world where Tiffany gets by pretty easily, actually, if they're splitting it up. If they're doing one tribal council where two people go home, then Tiffany could be in a lot of trouble as an easy second vote on that one, but who knows. Next one I have is Coach. A lot of people fed up with him tonight, and he could just become so insufferable to live and play the game with that they have to vote him out. And he just is seeming like I don't know who else is being targeted. I guess like Aubrey's a target, but I just don't buy that. Number three I have is Emily. I think she's talking too much, and I think just the way she's played, she was friends with D. I think it could just catch up to her pretty fast. I don't know. I was struggling to find a third here. So that's where we leave off episode 7, Survivor 50. Can't wait for episode 8 and the rest of this season. Only 5 weeks left, I believe, of or maybe 6, 8, 9, 10, 6 weeks left of Survivor 50, which is crazy to say. I'll be sitting here with you 6 weeks from now with a winner. Is there really 6 weeks away? I don't know. But that's where we leave off with Survivor episode 7. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, dislike, do what you got to do on the interactions. If you're new to here, we have a lot of stuff going on in the Dubcast. I've been doing weekly episode reviews for Daredevil Born Again. Last night's episode was crazy for Daredevil Born Again. I had a fun time reacting to that one. Doing shorts of the Maul series. Had our first short for Darth Maul Shadow Lord. That was out on Monday. And we're mixing in movie reviews and sports as always. We'll have next video on the channel will be UFC 327. Got to talk with my good friend Shane as always. Well, not as always, but welcomed appearance from Shane. You know, he provided some good insight and some good commentary. So we pick every fight. That's a lot of fun on the UFC. NBA live stream returns Monday the 13th. I think that's the 13th. We have Michael, Ali, and a new guest appearing on the Dubcast for the NBA playoffs. We'll be back with a stream before every round starts in the NBA playoffs. Super exciting stuff on that end. And then, of course, movie reviews in between. Saw Project Hail Mary this weekend. Going to get that one out next. Trying to see the drama very soon. Have an Argo movie review locked in the chamber. So a lot of fun stuff happening. And make sure to stay tuned to Instagram, or not Instagram, well, kind of Instagram, but TikTok and YouTube Shorts. We'll be there as well. Lots of short-term stuff happening. So really, guys, I have to say, like 100 subscribers, it means so much, even though I've lost 2 in the last week for some reason. This has me energized. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to turn this thing into a legitimate enterprise. I'm ready to go. Dubcast is on the rise, so make sure you're a part of the rise when the Dubcast got to the top. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and I'll leave y'all with that. As always, be easy, y'all.